Welcome to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Gee, I hope I didn't make a mistake with these two. They promised me they'd bring in some really good guests. Well, anyway, here's Frank and Irene.
Welcome to Mother May I podcast with Irene and Frank. No, that's not right, Irene. It's Frank and Irene, so fuck you.
No, Irene and Frank is just fine.
Frank?
You know that I'm the bottom in this relationship.
Well, I am the top, so I'm not going to fight you on that one, Frank, because I would definitely be the top. Mr. Conniff, what the hell is going on in the world? You've always been responsible. You continue to wear your mask, and it looks like the CDC is now telling us that they're recommending that we put our masks on.
Like I was just telling you, I've continued to wear my mask indoors, except the only times I didn't were when I did a show at Stand Up New York. Everyone was unmasked, and then when I did another show at Littlefield, I didn't wear a mask there, and I guess that would be different now because the guidelines are to wear masks. But every day when I go into the grocery store or the pharmacy or the whorehouse, I always wear my mask.
You always wear, because you're responsible, Mr.
Yeah.
Conniff. That's why I love you.
Yeah.
So do you think that, are we going to possibly, some people think we might even go back into a lockdown. I don't foresee that happening, but what's happening now with this Delta variant? Do you think that we're going to go back to the half capacity social distancing?
Well, no, I think it's different now because so many people are vaccinated, and it's like they say, it's a pandemic among the unvaccinated. Although vaccinated people can get it, but it's really it's really the douchebag variant that's causing all the problems.
You're right. It
People,
almost seems like there's a greater pandemic going on. It's called dumbness.
Yeah. People are. There are people in leadership roles who are cynically telling people not to take even though they've taken the vaccine themselves. I mean, it's just downright evil. These people are just downright evil. They want to gain some political traction by, they know that if the pandemic just ends tomorrow, it's really good for Joe Biden, and they want to make it difficult for the Democrats. So in order to do that, more people have to die, and luckily for them, there's a whole bunch of people out there who really their motivation is just to own the libs by not taking the mask,
Yeah.
and not taking the vaccine, I should say.
You're absolutely right.
And we'd be so much better off. Trump could have taken the vaccine on TV in front of a camera, which he didn't. And he could have, like Sarah Huckabee Sanders started calling it the Trump vaccine, which is bullshit. But Trump could have done that in January and said, everybody take the Trump vaccine. And it would have been a big boost for his ego, and it would have caught on with his fans. Right. And they would have taken it. Although maybe we wouldn't have taken it then, but.
You know what? I'm not sure I would have taken it, Frank. That is a good observation for sure. You're right. And it's so sad, everything just comes down to votes. And, if America has to be a hostage or there has to be casualties along the way, they just don't give a shit. So,
yeah. And they're willing to, sacrifice their people and the people who are stubborn and not taking the vaccine. There are people now who are hooked up to ventilators and are dying, and the doctors have to tell them, I'm sorry, I can't help you. It's too late. You didn't take the vaccine when you should have,
I know it, Frank. Believe me, I keep telling people. I know even people that are level-headed, although much fewer than the conspiracy theorists and the Trump supporters that refuse to get the vaccination. Still, some very level-headed people out there that are not getting the vaccination. It's all the pros and cons. Con, the vaccination makes you sick for 1 day. Pro, you live if you get COVID. Hello.
Yeah, I mean, the COVID makes you sick, much sicker than that, and
Die.
um,
Get so sick you
you
die.
know, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, the world we live in now, I mean, it's a dystopia now. I'm sorry, it is, but
Which leads into Frank's next book. Wait, Frank wrote, "What You're Ruining the Dystopia for Me." I want everybody to go out and buy it and read it.
yes, you're ruining the dystopia for everyone.
Oh, for
Uh,
everyone.
Available at Amazon. Our guest last week was reading the book and was enjoying it.
That's
So,
right. He loved it because you're genius. And you know what? If we can't emote somehow, and I mean, this is very serious. We really can't laugh at this, but you know, of course, laughter heals. But at the end of the day, if you don't get the vaccination, you're not going to be able to laugh because you're going to die if you get the double variant. It's highly probable that you're going to die. Now, Frank, I wanted to talk before we bring our awesome guest that we're both madly in love with on the show. I wanted to talk about one specific casualty. Mr. Jackie Mason passed away.
right. Yeah, I think he was. I didn't even know he was still alive, to tell you the truth. He was in his 90s, and I guess he hadn't been around for a while. He was probably too frail or
Yeah.
whatever. But you know, I saw Jackie Mason do stand up in the early 80s, and this is when I was working at the Bitter End in Greenwich Village. I was a bartender there, and it was at a low point of his career, and he was booked into the Bitter End, which is a small club anyway.
Very well, Frank. Very.
And he drew like 15 people, you know.
I'm going to have to remember that for the rest of my career, so that it makes me feel good. Thank you for that, Frank.
Yeah, and it's a very small crowd, but he went up and he did a show, and he was really funny. I know he was a very problematic person. I know he was like racist and had some views that were really messed up, but he had some great stand-up comedy.
He was very.
Parts of his act were really great, and he was a really unique talent. And you know, I think off stage is when he got into problems. I think when
that's when he was like more of a penis. I remember I worked with. I mean, he was doing something, and I was doing at Pips. I saw him because
Pips,
I was at Pips, the oldest comedy club.
Yeah, I remember Pips.
Have you ever worked at Pips?
I did their open mic like in the early 80s. It was Wednesday nights, and that's where I met Rich Jenny was there at the time, and John Mulrooney, I remember, was there, and you know, it was a fun scene to go and do that.
It was a fun scene, and the saying was, if you don't bum at Pips, you're not really a comic. I remember it was like it could be a really tough room, but I remember he was there, and they absolutely loved him, and they were eating out of the palm of his hands. The problem with him, for me, Frank, and I don't know if you're aware of this, is that he never acknowledged his daughter Sheba Mason, and that was always something really disgusting.
Yeah, well, I never knew about his personal life or anything.
Yeah, and that's something that will always stick to me, because she really tried so hard to you know, she was pining for his affection. She really wanted his acknowledgement. Wikipedia acknowledges her. If you look it up, it says children. She's the only one listed. And it's so shameful that he just wanted nothing to do with her. And like,
yeah, I can't understand that. We have a mutual friend. I won't say her name on the air, who has a famous comedian father, and he's not in her life. And it's like, when you know this person, it's like, how could you possibly not want to be in her life? This wonderful, funny, delightful person. And when a parent is like that with their kid, like, I just don't get it, especially when it's like a great kid. And Sheba, who I know a little bit, is a really nice, really cool person. So it's just unfathomable to me when
it is unfathomable. And I think that's a really great word to describe it. And she, I mean, she looks exactly like him in drag with a blonde wig on. I mean, they look identical. She's like his little female doppelganger. And And yeah, he really just he went to his grave. I think it's a shame for him that he never really got to know her. And I think it kind of I don't know how she's feeling. I didn't reach out to her, but I know that throughout her career, it was the one thing she was always trying to do was reach out to her father and get his acknowledgement. Not asking for help, which he should have given liberally, but, you know, because she was doing shitty shows and busting her ass, flyering and barking like a dog when she has a famous father. But just, you know, just to have like the acknowledgement that, yes, you're my daughter. You know, he couldn't even give her that. So it's a shame. So
Yeah, and when you hear that about a person, you're like, well, okay, he was a successful comedian, but he was kind of a failure in his life, if that's the way he was, you know.
Exactly. So he was kind of a failure. He was kind of a dick in his life because if you
Yeah.
know how hard she tried to contact him, then it's just a shame. It really, really is. And I haven't reached out to her, but I'm, you know, I guess, you know, I'm sure she really did love him. So my condolences to her, you know, and it's like you said, just to parrot what you said, it's his loss because he never got to know what a wonderful kid he had, you know?
No, he never did. And it, you know, would have been a great thing in his life, you know, but
It would have been a very good thing in his
yeah,
life.
I guess it got in the way of him campaigning for Rudy Giuliani and making racist statements about David Dinkins, you know, using the bad word about him, you know.
Which he was. And you know what? Yeah, I'm going to tell you how racist this guy was. He actually did a comedy club on Staten Island called the Looney Bin. I guess it was another bad time in his career. And he, on Staten Island, which is obviously, we know they went rogue and voted Trump in. They're highly racist here. And I'm not saying everybody is, because there's a lot of wonderful people, but there's a lot of racists here, of course. And he did this club and he walked everybody in the club because he was too racist for Staten Island.
Wow, that's really racist.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, that is really, really racist.
That's like being too anti-Semitic for a Nazi rally.
And you're not exaggerating one bit. Okay, so I just got word that our guest is here. I wanted to give her a swelling intro. I can't talk today. This girl, we roped her into coming on. We love her so much. She is the comedy in Central. This girl is everything. I mean, when I say this, Frank, I really mean it. And I've told you this, and I'm going to say it right now in front of everybody and her as well. Literally one of the fucking best joke writers I've ever had that I'm envious.
Same.
I'm envious because I love her, and I can't not like her because she's such a cool person, but one of the funniest girls. Let's give it up for Myka Fox, everybody.
Wow, thank you. What an intro.
Well,
I'm honored.
Sweetie, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm great. I'm trying to like make sure that I don't even know if this mic is working. I'm like trying to be a pro. I just blew out your audience's ears by putting it right up to my mouth, probably. I'm great. I'm fucking phased. I'm going to Texas for a month tomorrow morning.
Wow.
So I'm packing.
What crime did you commit? Why the punishment?
Yeah, I supported abortion rights, and they're sending me right there, I guess.
Wow. Are you doing shows there?
I will be. I'm going to be writing for a show for the month. But now I'm like, I've got this like zooey energy of like, I don't know if you guys, does anyone else get like extreme anxiety just about leaving their house now?
Yeah, I haven't gone to the airport in like a year and a half, so that would stress me out because it used to stress me out back in the before times.
Bye,
So
Irene.
if I did it now, I would be and especially hesitant to get on Delta Airlines, you know, because
the variant, right? I know. I was like, oh wait, what did they do recently? Because every airline is like fucking up so horribly, but I think they're. No, but you're right. What happened to Irene? Did I scare her away already?
Irene kind of bugged out. I assume she'll be back in a moment.
Yeah, Frank, I hate to interrupt the show, but yeah, Irene lost internet connection, so she is working on it as we speak.
Okay. Well, so Mike and I will carry the day for a while. Now, where in Texas are you going?
Austin. You know, you can't be a comedian and not go to Austin.
Austin is where all of the cool alt-right comedians are these days. So.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping they'll accept me as one, or I guess I'll just have to become a narc.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to be one or the other.
So either become one of them or tape their racist rants and post them on the internet. Is that what you mean?
I think there's only two sides now.
Yeah. Wow. That's so. But you used to do the Creek in the Cave here in New York a lot. So are you going to do the Creek there? Is that the thing? That's
Yeah, I'm excited about it. I got in touch with Rebecca Trent, owner of the Creek in the Cave, owner and founder, and the Creek is only going to be like 5 blocks from where I'm going to be staying. So I plan to say hi.
I've been to Austin many times. I've done a lot of shows there at the Alamo Draft House there, and I've actually been all over Texas doing shows. There are a lot of really cool people in Texas.
I like it a lot.
People who run the state are fucked up, but
yeah, it's such a bummer. Like I stayed in Houston for 9 months, and I thought Houston was like a really wonderful town full of like lots of different kinds of people and different ways that like a real juicy city full of interesting people, but not at all the like shoot 'em up Texas that we've been led to believe.
Although when the last time I was in Austin, I did see Trace, Bill, you and I were having lunch at this place, and this guy in like camouflage clothes and like an assault rifle like just walked by the place. Just a regular guy. You're allowed to do that there,
Yeah.
And I thought at first I thought he was doing cosplay, because I do so many Comic-Cons. I see a lot of that. And so yeah, Texas is crazy like that, or at least to us East Coast elitist liberal snobs,
I think I kind of prefer seeing their gun with, as opposed to it being concealed. Let me know what you've got.
Yeah, at least, put your cards on the table. And
I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a blackout. What an appropriate time to have a blackout. So what are we discussing?
We were talking about Myka is going to Texas, and she's going to Austin, and she's going to make a big splash in the alt-right comedy world. And we were talking about the open carry there. I was just telling her I saw a guy in camouflage with an assault weapon just walking down the street when I was there.
It's kind of scary. It might be worse than Florida if that's possible. It might be actually.
Yeah.
Well, Florida is where like all the criminals go to like hide out, and Texas is where all the criminals go to be criminals legally.
Yes, exactly.
That's funny. I once dated a guy when I was in Houston, like maybe 2 dates, not even, maybe 2 makeouts outside of a bar. And he calls me up and he wanted a ride because he needed to pick up, his car had been impounded. And so he needed to pawn his gun to get his car back. And I was like, am I in the middle of a country song? So will you sing it for me?
That's kind of frightful. It's like everybody has a gun. Like I guess like we have a credit card, people have a gun there. It's pretty frightful in Florida too. I told Frank I went to Florida recently, and I went to see a friend, and she said she wasn't there. She's like, just walk into my apartment. I'll leave the door unlocked, and I can't see. I'm blind as a fucking bat. So I wasn't wearing my glasses, because cuteness comes first. And then I went into the wrong apartment. The door was open. I made myself very fucking comfortable, gifted myself with a seat on the couch, put my feet up, and in walks this woman, and I was in the wrong house. And then her husband came out, and I'm lucky I didn't get my head blown off, because they have, they would have actually permission to do it in Florida with me being home, so.
That's wild. I'm glad you're still with us.
Thank you. Me too, sweetie. Well, some days I'm glad. Some days I'm like, why couldn't they just have pulled the goddamn trigger? But mostly I'm feeling glad that I'm here. So you're going to Austin. Austin's like a really cool town. I love it there.
Yeah, everyone says they love it. I'm a little like, it feels like it's going to be very college town. I think I'm too much of like an old lady for that, but
I do like Austin, but I've never been there for more than 3 days. at a
Oh,
time.
Vegas rules.
Yeah, Vegas rules exactly.
Mhm.
So a month there might be challenging, but it's good that you're working while you're there. So like you're there with a purpose, and I think that's going to help a lot.
You look like you're in college. Okay, stop with this bullshit old lady stuff. I'm in the room, and so is fucking Frank.
Just my soul is very my soul.
You know what? You do have an old soul. I'm going to say that about you, which is partly why I like loved you the minute I met you. Like you're young, but you really definitely have an old soul. But so what are you doing there? I missed the whole prelude to this conversation.
I'm going to be writing on a show for Netflix. I don't know how much. I haven't signed any NDAs, but I also feel like it would be. I don't know. Why ruin the job the second before I fly out?
Right.
But I'll be writing there for a month, and I like traveling when you have a job, so that way you never like really get to enjoy it.
Plus, but it is a college town. I must say, it really is. And I remember, it's interesting that you say that, because I remember going to Austin when I was in college and I loved it. And then I recently went back and I felt really old because everybody's still in college, but it's like going back in a time warp, but I'm much older, so it's terrible. You're right. But I think you'll be working, so you won't enjoy it, like you said. So
no, I know, I'm kidding though. I do like having a reason to be there, so that way you always have an excuse to go.
Mm-hmm.
Just like I've got to get back to protecting the president or whatever.
Right. Yeah. So that's so. Have you been in New York the whole time during the pandemic?
Yeah, all but the month of May 2020, I bugged out and went to the mountains for a month because I was like, it really started like, I was in a high-rise building and everyone was getting it, and there was like a line to the grocery store which had nothing in it, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get the Pocono sick. Fuck it, I can't take it. So I went there for a month, but otherwise, yeah, New York City, baby.
You go by yourself?
No, I have a boyfriend, and like the pandemic sort of like forced us to move in together. So that's a nice way it changed my life forever.
Mm-hmm. Wow. See, that's like a happy story in that kind of a situation, right? Because it could go totally, I love that this forced you together and you both went to the mountain, an even more secluded place where you could spend some time together.
It's so crazy too, because we're like escaping the city from the pandemic and we go into the mountains and we're like, finally, we're fucking safe. There's like no one fucking around. And then literally the night we get there, there was a murderer on the loose, a serial murderer. He'd already killed 3 people. And he was last seen 5 miles from where our like little mountain house was, and running through the woods. And we're like, holy shit.
Are you serious? This is so unusual during COVID?
During COVID, and he'd killed one person, then ran away, then killed another stole someone's car and killed them to cover his tracks. So he was just killing people on the way.
That's actually, by Republican standards, that's a low body count. But,
it sounds like a great Netflix movie I'd like to see, sweetie.
It was so funny. We're like, I can't believe I survived a pandemic to get killed by like a.
I know that would be the ultimate irony that you don't like. But when I grew up in New York, and when I was about 13 or 14, a bunch of my stoner friends and I went to upstate New York and camped out, which I'd never done before. And we were in the middle of the woods, and I swear to God, all my life growing up in New York, and this was back when New York was a really high crime city, I'd never been as frightened as I was just in the middle of the woods in complete isolation, because it's the isolation that makes it scary for me.
Right.
And like I just had visions of like the Manson family, and then and plus I was smoking a lot of pot, so I was, I was in a paranoid state anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The isolation of the country is I love it, but on the other hand, it's at nighttime it gets scary to me.
Yet there are no witnesses.
Yeah.
You want? That's what I love about the city. Everyone's like, weren't you scared? I'm from the suburbs. They're like, weren't you scared to move to the city? And I was like, no, because, like in Arizona, like when you want to walk from house to house, it's like you know, like everyone's on an acre of land. It takes you fucking 20 minutes to pass 5 building fronts. You know, if someone's after you, they're going to catch up to you. In the city, you can just duck into Dwayne Reed and be murdered in front of hundreds of people who don't give a fuck.
I fucking love you. Oh my God.
And in the Dwayne Reeds, you can use the receipts as a weapon, you know, like
Just wrap it around their neck and hang them. Frank.
exactly.
But it is scary because you have nowhere to run to. Exactly. Like I live across the street from a woods. God knows I live on Staten Island. I don't know what the fuck is buried in the forest across the street. I never even ventured in there to find out. But it's scary when you live in like the suburbs because you feel like Myka said, you're going to be running. I could see that picture right now, and somebody's going to catch up to you and more than likely kill you. So the city, you can duck into a train, you can do a lot of stuff. So you went into the mountains and you hung out there for a while. And then when did you return back into the city?
So right June 1st, I was there, like I did a month Airbnb just because I was like, I'm freaking the fuck out. But then like, you know, it's funny because when I went there, and I've been in New York for almost 16 years now. So I'm like fully citified. And as soon as we got there, I was like, I can't believe I've been in this city so long. I fucking hate New York. What a shithole, right? And then like after about 3.5 weeks, I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill someone if I don't watch a stranger take a dump on the street. I need something. Like, give me some fucking bullshit to hate.
Yeah, right. Because we get used to that, you know. We get used to our little city life. We want to see a stranger taking a dump in the street because we're used to it. That's what makes us feel alive.
Yeah, I want to be drinking alone at a bar and have someone annoy me and I get to tell them to fuck off. You know, what a great thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, look, the city's coming back. I think we're all going to have the opportunity to see those things again. It seems like it's jumping back, but before you jumped into the show, Frank and I were discussing the whole CDC, you know, how they're encouraging people to start masking up again. First of all, have you been vaccinated?
Yeah, I did it immediately.
Yeah,
you know,
smart, sweetie. I mean, I have baseline stupidity, but I knew that I should get the vaccination right away. You know.
Yeah.
So how do you think? What do you think is going to happen now? Like now you're traveling. They say it's going to get worse before it gets better. Do you think that this is going to impact any of the plans that you have?
I mean, I'm going to Texas, so I've kind of resigned myself to getting it. You know, like it's so funny because they made me get a COVID test, you know, because it's it's a television show, and so you know they've got like all these like strict protocols, they keep everyone much safer than the general public, but they're giving me this COVID test and I'm like, but then you're flying me in to a fucking cesspool of morons that are, sorry if your fans are morons, but you know. Yeah. Unvaxxed, unmasked, don't even believe that COVID's a real problem kind of a state. Yeah. So I'm like, if I'm going to get it, it's with you guys down there.
You're definitely going to get it. But the main thing is if you get it, you'll survive, and whoever gets it is unvaccinated, which I'm guessing a lot of the population is there. Although you might be safer in Austin because I think they're just less dumb in Austin because they're college students, and I think they're probably getting vaccinated. Hopefully, I'm just throwing this out there at the top of my head. I don't know.
It might be better in Austin than elsewhere, but who knows? And
I think Austin has like a fake, like they kind of pass as liberal, but I don't think they really are. I think once you get like right outside the like main drag of college towniness, like I think even the college kids who go there are kind of like, I mean, like it goes, because regular college is accidental racism, and then like I think it's like racism on purpose as you get farther away from the.
Right, you step over that little like that border line from Austin to the next whatever, and it's like full on racism is on again.
And the college they teach accidental critical race theory, and they're trying to get this out.
You know what I mean by like accidental racism, though, which is like most well-meaning white people,
Yeah.
Did you guys by any chance see the Woodstock '99 documentary?
Yes.
I didn't.
And that's, speaking of racism and sexism, I mean, that really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff.
Oh, it gave me extreme nostalgia because that was like, I was like coming of age when Korn and Tool and all that like white teen angst, my brother was in mosh pits and my dad moshed with him. I'm like, you're a dentist. What is there to be so upset about? You know, but there was, and it's like this weird, like, why is everyone so angry? I mean,
It's
Yeah,
that boy
that,
anger. And you
and it-
realize how that culture is so fucking deeply racist, honestly. I know.
it was like they could have, if they had foresight into the future, they could have called it the Capitol Insurrection Fest '99. Like that same kind of vibe.
it's very much, the insurrectionists are the fucking Limp Bizkit fans grown
Yeah.
up. 100%. I'm surprised Fred Durst wasn't, breaking windows. Give him something to break.
It's moshing. That's all they were doing in the Capitol. They were just having a nice little mosh. It was a mosh pit. That's it. That's what it was.
It was interesting to me because I didn't know that much about that era of music because I'm one of those boomers who just listens to what I listen to. I didn't really keep up, and I missed out on a lot of great stuff for that reason. But I'm not sorry that I missed out on Limp Bizkit and.
Yeah, Limp Bizkit. I mean, I was right in it. I was dating a guy at the time, another Kevin Corrigan. It's so funny. His name is Kevin Patrick Corrigan, just like Kevin Corrigan, the actor. And he was a heavy metal singer, again with the white boy angst, and so I was inundated and saturated with that fucking mosh pit crap too, sweetie. I was right there with you. And I remember I finally just I had enough, and he was opening up for Kiss. I'll never forget it. And I was like, I gotta go. But yeah, I mean, I was into it at the time. I'm not gonna lie, But then stepping away, and you pull out the lens, you look back, and you're like, wow, that whole culture was, what were they so upset about? Where was that anger?
The part of that documentary that I almost turned it off because it was so disturbing was the porta potties backing up, and then everybody like rolling around in the mud that was like filled with shit from the porta potties. I couldn't take that almost.
Oh my God!
No, you're not a fecophile, Frank?
Huh? What?
You're not a fecophile? That doesn't.
Not lately. I've outgrown that phase.
Outgrown that? You don't like rolling around in the poo?
No.
You don't like rolling around in the poo. I didn't see it. I have to see it, but of course now after you mentioned that part, maybe I'll skip it.
Well, it's just a small part of it.
Just a small part.
That's just a small part that'll scar you for the rest of your life.
The rest of your goddamn life. That's what it is.
Mike, I don't know how much you can tell us, but is there a reason why this show is being done in Austin that you can tell us about?
Not only just that it's being filmed there.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and I don't think it's more complicated than that it's being filmed there. I think
it's being filmed. So are you still, I mean, I'm sure they're still really, what is the protocol for filming now? Starting, like now, I know they were very strict before. So what is it like? I mean, maybe it's more lenient because it is Austin. I don't know.
I mean, I'll find out. Like, I've only been on a few sets since like I went and did the MTV Movie Awards in May, and it was.
You writing for Nikki Glaser? Was that?
I was writing for Nikki.
You are a star.
There was some great jokes. I saw that set. There was some great jokes in there.
Well, Nikki's a fucking genius, and so it's just like awesome to just even be like part of that machine. She really is a machine. So that was really fun, but like it was like testing multiple times before I could even get on the set, and then like everyone was tested, of course, before they walked in, or like had their temperatures taken, and then like depending on how famous you were was like how much precaution you had to take. It was really interesting. Like if we were working around Nikki, then we had to have full face shields. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Wow. On set. But like, meanwhile, like she and I would be writing together, like at the comedy club later that night, like no masks, whatever. But like just the protocol of it was like, oh, like if you're going to be around the big star, you wear masks. But I'm like, no one's wearing a big mask around me, So it's pretty funny. But like, I mean, maybe that she had it more strict. I don't know what the logic behind it all was, but there was like a very tiered level of like protocol in place.
That's right. You were the bottom tier. I'm just kidding. Oh my God, you're so fucking amazing.
No, it's funny like how low the writers get treated, like just on a regular anywhere you go. It's very funny to me.
It's so crazy because they are the ones that need to be exalted because their words are coming out of the mouth, but I know that Nikki is a genius, but the culmination of the two of you was unbelievable, you know, and those jokes were on fire, you know, and you're part of that, a huge part of that. So, but the reason why I'm asking is because, you know, with this thing, the CDC saying that we have to mask up again, there's this whole thing, this controversy, whether or not people are going to have to certain people are going to have to get vaccinated in order to do certain things. You know, they might make that mandatory.
I mean, they used to do that.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't go to school without getting the MMR. You know, they used to do that. And yes, this is an mRNA vaccine, you know. Is it that dangerous? I don't know. I'm not a fucking scientist, but
that's really a great point, because some people are like, that's unethical. That's like, you know, infringing on our civil rights, blah, 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 blah. But the truth of the matter is that we used to have to do that.
Well, you know, they would, you know, they didn't make an issue that you had to take the polio vaccine. People were kind of excited about the idea of there not being polio anymore. You know,
it's so weird. It's so weird how people forget how lucky we are to have the vaccine. It's crazy to me. I was like, weren't we all waiting for the vaccine? Weren't we all fucking like even me, a piece of me was just sort of like, I don't really want to wear a mask, you know, like, but I'll wait it out to the vaccine. Like that was like the level of participation I wanted. I was like, but then I'm out, you know? And so the fact that people don't want it is like, do you want this to just keep going?
Right. No, you're so right. It's actually a privilege. That's the other thing. I mean, look at the shit that Canada, we had a friend on the show a couple of weeks ago. She's an actress, Natalie Brown, and she went through hell in Canada, you know, because they're so behind.
And that's so disturbing too. It's like, how did we get so many vaccines and so few people who want them versus these other countries who want them and can't get them? It's, you know, like, I mean, I don't know if this information will ever come out, but I'm sure there's a fucking scandal there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely. Because there's just something so mysterious about, for me, like Canada's something, you know, Canada's pretty progressive. Like, how did they get so in the weeds? They're just entering the third phase now, you know?
They probably spent all their money on universal health care for everybody.
It's just a good way to spend money, if you ask me.
And they blew it, you know. Look at us. We saved up all our resources, you know, coddling billionaires, and now here we can have vaccines for the 5% of people who want to take one.
That's right. You know, I'm getting so sick. It's so hard. Like, especially I was telling Frank, living on Staten Island, having to hear little things that keep grinding on my goddamn nerves, like about people collecting unemployment, you know. And actually, Myka, you had a really great tweet about this, and I loved it. Sorry, I forget what your tweet was, but I said I love this girl. She's so great. You know, about like, fuck you and your $15 an hour or less than $15 an hour. No one's running to go back in. What about the top 1% that keeps ripping off the government by tax evasion? You know what I mean? They're ripping off the government. These people are holding 3 jobs simultaneously, and they still can't make ends meet. They're literally the working poor, you know? So,
well, the people who are, you know, they're not the top 1%. They're not paying their taxes, but they do have to go to outer space for 3 minutes. So that's like an important. That's more important, I think.
I know. I hate it. I said they were corrupting out of space now. You fucking keep it at least here on Earth. Keep the fucking the greater pandemic contained. But you're right. You know, like it's so crazy to me. But also they have loopholes. The rich people have loopholes. They always find a way to kind of like make an extra buck, you know? So if people are not eager to return to their jobs that are like $10 an hour because they've been literally working as slaves, you know, we have to, you know, fix the infrastructure, I'm saying, you know, like bring up the minimum wage, and then also bring down the rentals, because then, you know, you can bring down the minimum wage, you can bring up the minimum wage, but then the stores or whoever's these other places also have to be able to afford their rents as well.
Yeah, I mean, you preach to the choir here. It's so, like, I'm just horrified by billionaires, you know, like, can we cap it at 999 million?
I feel exactly the same way.
Like, you win capitalism. good for you. You know, now fucking
Yeah.
share that with, even if not with the public, but just the people that put you there, the Amazon employees, the whatever, like, you know,
Yeah, I think it would be a great policy, and it's not even socialism. It's like you just said, it's you're allowed to be incredibly wealthy, but you're not allowed to go above $1 billion. So in other words, if you're any of these people and you go over $1 billion, you can still live exactly the kind of extravagant with your $998 million. You can do anything you want, live anywhere you want, have an incredible luxurious lifestyle. We're not asking you to be a socialist, but just after $1 billion, give it away or invest it in something else.
That's the thing, is not even give it away, because it's like, I don't trust these fucking billionaires to make everything whole. Like, listen, why should they get to pick? You know what I mean? We all made them rich. And not that I particularly trust the government, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe we should let them waste it, like get a universal basic income going. Like, I'm extreme though. I think there's enough robots doing our jobs that we shouldn't be working that much.
Mm-hmm.
Like, give me a fucking 2-day work week. The robots are doing most of it. Can't the rest of us just sit on the beach? Like, why are we all working so hard? For what?
Yeah, I think that's
And most of us are working hard.
the robots will turn on us and rule us, but until then, that's a great idea.
Well, I mean, not creative jobs, not you and me, Frank and Irene. We're safe, you know. People need geniuses like us to muse about. But like, listen, are people making? I don't even know who makes TVs, but like, everyone gets a TV. It's made by a robot. No one should have to pay for it. Like, we all want to numb out. Fine, let us do it. Like, it's a big mudslide into fucking hell anyway. Why do we have to work on our way in?
Yeah, well, now, they figured out in the pandemic that people can do their jobs from home, and that's saving like people such an awful part of their life to have to commute into work and the expense of that. But I've been reading stuff lately though that the businesses can't wait to have people come back in, and the owners just don't like the idea of not having people to boss around or to register their life. It takes away their motivation to be the boss. You know, they don't like that.
That makes me smile from within.
Yes, me too.
Good.
Smile. Why don't you get your ass in, especially in like these little places where the owner could actually do most of the work and stop slaving people around for like a very few dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know, but I'm just glad that everybody's getting a little much needed vacation, and hopefully we can rethink, excuse me, I'm causing a lot of problems today. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, so we're not running out of time.
Yeah,
it says my internet is unstable. Can you see me now?
I can see you, and I don't.
Okay, sorry.
The internet being unstable is not an issue because you're so unstable a person that it's kind of.
That's what I said. That's the only thing that's unstable. That's what I was going to say. The internet is not the only thing unstable, but we had like a power outage here on Staten Island. That's why I lost you guys before. So I was doing another show, and there was this interesting article about how Americans, or most people actually globally, we don't have as many friends as we used to anymore. Apparently, we're not having as many deep friendships as we used to have. Since 1990, it's drastically declined. I mean, do you guys find that to be in sort of like evident in your own personal lives?
Well, I mean, I definitely have less friends than I did in 1909.
I had a lot of friends in 1909. I was working on the Teddy Roosevelt for President committee. I met a lot of people, but I'm old, in other words. But I don't know. That's an interesting thing. I'm a type of person, like I have a big circle of people I know and that I consider friends, like Myka and you, Irene. But on the other hand, I'm not like, I maybe could do more to like pursue friendships more and go out more and make
Effort.
an effort to, and I know people who are like that, who really put the effort in to have great friendships. And I think, I think it might be a flaw of mine that I maybe take my friendships for granted and I don't work on them more than I should.
Well,
Right, because I haven't gotten flowers from you, Frank. Go on, Myka.
How many friends are we supposed to have?
I don't
What are we
know.
talking about?
We're talking about, like, okay, for example, and I thought this was like a dumb, insipid thing to bring up when I did the show, but then I thought it was a little interesting because I did always have a best friend, and now I have like I don't like this. I actually want to punch myself in my own face when I use the word tribe, but I think they're going for that, like, you have your little tribe of friends, like. But I always did have a best friend, and I feel like I no longer have a best friend. I do kind of have like a group of close friends.
But isn't that better though?
Yes.
Having just one best friend, having like a tribe of people,
Yes. What about you, Myka? What do you think? Like, do you think, like, have you ever had like somebody you were really close to, and like now you're like, you have like more of a group of people that you're close to?
I'm not a good friend holder or maker. I mean, I have like my childhood best friend and then our friend from high school. And so there's the three of us, but they live on the West Coast. And then like I have a couple close friends in New York, like maybe like one, and then plus my boyfriend. But my boyfriend has like a huge group of friends that like, they're all in huge group chats, and we all like, like it'll be a trip of like 10 or 12 of us to a lake house and shit like that. And I'm like, I don't have anything like that except for the fact that I'm dating my boyfriend.
I've never had a thing like that ever, where I've gone with 12 people to a lake house. And I think that might be really fun, but I've never, and plus I think all of my friends are people, most of them are in show business. They're comedians or they're actors or they're writers. And I think part of the reason why I'm friends is they're like me. They're kind of inward bound. They're kind of introspective. They're insecure. They're resentful of everybody, And it's like none of us are like none of us are outgoing, vivacious people. We all love each other's company, but it's not like ever like a big social kind of thing with a lot of people. It's more just hanging out with your friend at the coffee shop or the diner and bitching about show business for 6 hours,
Right. That's right.
I'm describing a great evening as far as I'm concerned, by the way.
But it sounds like it's defeatist, sort of, to like have a bunch of introspective people in a group. That just kind of like defeats the whole purpose of being antisocial in a way, Frank.
But I think all the comedians that I've met through the years, who become my really good friends, they're all like that. None of them. Maybe there's some exceptions, but that I can't think of right now. But one of us has to make the effort to be more outgoing, and then nobody does it because nobody is like that.
Yeah, I'm like it's too much effort. Someone has to be doing the inviting. It's never going to be, or the planning of it all, like finding a house and invite, like keeping everyone, and like, this is how much you owe, and all that shit like stresses me out like crazy.
Exhausting.
And we do stand up, so it's like, I don't feel like I'm missing out. I go to a show, I'll run into people I know and like, and we'll hang out, maybe we'll get like a drink or a bite afterward, and it feels like I have friends, even though probably, and they'll probably all show up to my funeral because they'll want to be seen.
They want to do
time. Yeah, exactly.
Comedians always go to other comedians' funerals because they want the stage time.
Right.
Funerals and weddings.
So, I think from the
good networking.
what was that?
I agree, Micah. Let me tell you something. That's the thing about stand-up. If I ever stopped doing stand-up, I would miss the fact that I could go out social. It's like a two-bird, one stone. I hate that fucking saying. It's like you're knocking out socializing and working simultaneously. So you go, you do a spot, you hang out with friends. I think that's nothing sounds more unappealing to me than a group of like 15 people going away together in a cabin somewhere, or isolated, or somewhere where you can't get away. I've just never been that, let's go to, 15 people. That sounds like a nightmare to me. I've actually done it before forcibly, and I wanted to stab everybody, Also, I like my friends. I like Frank said, it couldn't be truer. You kind of hang out with people that are like-minded, even when it comes to cynicism and your views, because otherwise, if I'm around somebody who always wants to hang out, or somebody who's extremely bubbly, you know what I mean? That's also possibly going to get on my nerves as well. So, we're just more.
What Micah's about to do is, I think one of the great things about being in this business is going to Austin for a job for a month, and you're going to be there working, but you're probably going to have some really good social experiences with your coworkers and people that you meet there, and hang out, and it's kind of like it's a working thing, but most regular people have to plan for and pay for a trip to a city like Austin. And, all of my traveling is always just gigging on the road. And, Trace and I, we go to Austin, we go to Portland, we go to, Pittsburgh, all these cities, and we meet some of the same people there every time. And this is the kind of business, in a weird way, it does give you that social life, even though you're doing all of it.
Oh, absolutely.
For your professional career.
Yes.
It's like, I love it. That's exactly.
I love it too. I do need that little support group. I definitely have like my inner, group of especially girls and Frank. Not many men. It's ironic to me, but I have like a group, you need to you're in the same business, you kind of lean on each other a little bit, that's fine. But for the most part, I think that, performing and socializing, they go hand in hand, so we're not missing out on a damn thing, sweetie. Is your boyfriend coming with you on this working excursion?
No, he's not. I'm actually missing his brother's wedding for this. Talk about skipping social shit to be employed, but I'm ditching that. And then he's a comic too, so he's got a gig in Wisconsin, and so he might visit for a few days, but then someone's got to babysit my cat.
Right. Oh, he's gonna be watching the cat. I love that so he's a comic, so he understands right off the bat. You don't have to explain, you know what I mean? I think that if you're dating a comic, they understand you have to take the job. They're not going to get mad oh my God, you're going to miss whoever's wedding for you know what I mean? That seems like anybody who did that is an asshole. If you have a job, you have a job. If you're going to have to miss a wedding.
In this business, if you have a job, you've got to go fucking do that job, because you might not have one for another year after that. So it's that can't be trifled with, really,
Yeah.
Gotta take it.
Yeah, for sure. At least, I'm leaving a job to do it, and I'll be going back. So honestly,
that's good.
Yeah, my day job is just letting me disappear. Do you want in? Sorry, I've got a cat that runs the show. Come in.
Well, Frank usually has Millie on the show, but she's not on today. Usually she's on.
She just walked past me, but
Millie just walked past. Everybody has a cat except for me. I'm really sad. My cat died a couple of years ago, and I haven't replaced her.
It's hard.
Zimba. Yeah, it really is hard, So I'm thinking I might get another cat, maybe rescue a cat.
That's the way to do it.
I have to definitely do it. Yeah, it's the way to do it, because I'm feeling, that's the other thing. You're not as lonely if you have a little critter with you. If you have a little cat or a dog, they are, they're your friends. How's that? That's your friend. Unconditionally loving you, Frank. That's true.
It's true.
Millie has been there for you more than a fucking therapist or a best friend. She was there for you. So anyway, we are coming to the bottom of the hour here for this show. Myka, I am so happy you joined us today. Thank you so much.
Oh, thanks. It's nice
excited
to catch up with you guys.
Yeah, it's so great to see you.
It's been so long since I've talked to you. It's great to see you.
Yeah, come to Austin.
Amazing.
Come party with me.
Oh my God! Don't
wish
tempt
we,
me.
you know, in the old days, we would usually have a gig in Austin around this time of year.
Damn it! That would have been so fun. I love seeing friends in a different city.
I love going to see Frank in the what is it? The Austin has a draft house. Austin has a draft house. Is that where you perform?
Which we did a lot of shows there, and
Yeah,
I know that they're
so much fun.
they're making a comeback. You know, like every movie theater, it was a disaster for them, but they are like getting back up on their feet. But I don't know if they're ready to start hiring acts like us to come back and do shows.
Yeah.
You know.
Right, I know. I think it's probably not going to normalize until like it's looking like October now. Well, sweet darling love, where can people find you? What are you working on? Let us know.
Well, all my socials, just my name at Myka Fox, MYKAFOX. And I would love it. Tim is my boyfriend. We started our own podcast. We're like we're like 5 episodes in. It's called Great Hang. Where basically I just make fun of him for not being able to read, but I make him read the news to me and then mock him. It's part emotional abuse, but it's pretty fun. So check it out. Great Hang on all the places you get your podcasts.
It sounds great.
Oh, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to check it out. Frankie boy, anything that you've got coming up in terms
August 10th is the next movie riffing show that Trace, you and I are doing. We're riffing the movie The Beach Girls and the Monster, and it's everything you would expect it to be from that title.
That sounds terrible.
Sounds awesome. That sounds harrowing and intriguing all at once. I'm sorry. Again, I've been having internet issues, so if I'm choppy, I apologize in advance. We're going to be back next week. This time, we do have Simon Bamford. He was the Cenobite in Hellraiser 1 and 2. He'll be joining us for the next show. And you can find me at Irene Bremis on Twitter, Instagram. And also, I'm going to be at McGuire's Comedy Club this Friday and Saturday night. If anybody has, it comes in to watch us, and if anybody's in Long Island and wants to stop by. Frank, I love you. Always good doing this show with you. Oh, and we're getting an exit with the cute. What's your cat's name, Myka?
This is Toe. Say hi, Toe.
Oh my, so cute. Thank you for joining us. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Yeah.
See you next week.
Have a great show.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Check us out next week when Frank and Irene sit down with, you know what? I don't know what these two are going to do next, but we'll see you next week.